Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, I'm going to rank every SEO task that you can hand off to AI. We're going to rank it all the way from S tier at the top for the stuff that AI is actually good at, all the way down to D tier, which is what the AI is pretty much terrible at, and you should never delegate fully to AI. And I'm going to tell you the exact AI tools that I use for each one of these SEO tasks. So here's why I'm doing this. Well, here's why I'm making this video today. There's this idea floating around in SEO that, oh my God, SEO is dead. LLMs are the future of search. SEO is like completely useless industry. And why is this? Well, you can just write content for everything. It's going to rank. The AI is going to rank for everything in Google or in LLMs, and you really don't need to do any work. You can just hand it off to the AI. I'm going to tell you that is complete nonsense. However, on the other side of the debate, you've got people saying that AI is completely useless, and if you use it for any sort of SEO work whatsoever, that you're just going to get completely penalized. That is also incorrect. The reality is, the truth is a little bit more nuanced, as with most things in SEO. AI can be really helpful as part of your SEO workflow and pretty bad at a lot of other tasks, particularly when you try to automate. I always joke that SEO's favorite thing is just as soon as they see one thing that works, they just want to scale it to infinity, which just destroys the whole effort entirely. So that's what this video is about. We're gonna sift through what's working, what's not working, how to use AI appropriately, and what tasks AI can really effectively delegate with AI. Okay, so that said, let me explain the tiers really quick. We've got S tier, which is basically you can hand it to the AI, walk away, and come back pretty confident, maybe not 100%, since nothing's ever 100%, but pretty confident that the AI is going to have done it good enough or better than what you would have done if you were working on it all day or for weeks at a time trying to do the task yourself. In other words, it's as good as you or a team of you working on the task. All the way down at the other end, we have D tier, which is basically tasks where you delegate to the AI, you walk away, and then it's done incorrectly. So in both cases, the point of the delegating to the AI is that it does it for you. So yeah, the condition is you want to be able to walk away, but A is the one where it's done well. D is the one where you shouldn't be delegating, or you should be small chunky, get much more and getting a much higher confidence result. I also want to mention, these are my rankings. It's what I see doing SEO and GEO or AEO or ASO, whatever you want to call it, day to day. And it comes from 10 plus years working as an SEO, a lot of competitive niches. And if you feel like if I give something the wrong rating and you're like, no, this is like completely incorrect, just let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to hear your take, or just debate with you and see what you think, because I'm trying to learn as well. So that said, appreciate the support for the channel. So please hit subscribe, like the video, and that really helps us grow the channel. So let's dive in. All right, so really important here, you should be using AI for content. It goes without saying. If you're not using AI for content, you're kind of, I'm gonna assume everyone here is using AI for content. It just comes down to how you use it, how the process works, and where you step in to add things that the AI just cannot get. Today is June 9th. Anthropic just announced Fable 5 GPT is looking to release 5.6 or potentially GPT-6 very soon. It's very competitive. Fable 5 is absolutely insane. I don't care if you like who your favorite AI is, if you're like open models person, whatever. Fable 5 is doing things that are effectively AGI. It's basically has a step up function like we saw with Opus 4.5 back in December. It's an entirely new beast. And we personally at Blue Tree have been using AI with content, both content on our site and externally, for years. So it goes without saying, you should absolutely be using the AI to write the text, but also design images and everything else that goes with it. But that said, there's certain steps in the process where you really should step in yourself, and there's certain steps where you should hand off the sort of the grunt work to the AI so it can do what it's really good at, which is long running tasks, research, etc. And then you can get the tone right. So the first thing I want to point out in that context is that if you just use whatever model you use to write the whole article start to finish, and then you think you can submit it to Google and just rank in Google, rank in the LLMs, you are wasting your time. It's an absolute waste of time. So that said, AI for writing articles, I'm going to give it a D. It's the one that everyone tries to do, and yet this is the one that AI still doesn't do that great when you just give it a task start to finish. The truth is that editors can really smell AI content now, just because there's just so many AI articles on the internet, and you really have to be able to, it's like it's like we say the last mile with AI. It's really good at getting things to like 90% or 95% or even 99.9%. But if it can do that by itself, then you just have to assume that everyone else can do that. So it's really that last, whatever it is, like the last 0.1% or the last 10%, however much it is, that's where the real value comes in to making the article human and writing it in a way that's going to really help you rank, both in the the answer engines as well as the search engines like Google. So this is really what you need to do, is figure out how to small chunk content writing in a way that makes AI super effective. And to be honest, we've seen this over and over again. And there's a whole theory called like dead internet theory, because it's getting so easy to produce content that we're just going to be flooded with basically infinite content on the internet. And it's kind of getting gross where if something is completely made by AI, even if it's really good, it's still like, you can still just tell it wasn't made by a human. And for certain things, it doesn't matter. But when you're trying to connect with someone through content, through written content, again, you want to be able to, yes, use AI, but know which parts of the writing process you should be using AI, which ones you shouldn't for. So I personally, I mentioned Fable earlier. I think Claude to this day is still the vastly superior model for writing. In fact, it's really not a competition, but you can use ChatGPT if you like. It's more punchy, and it's good at coming up with facts, coming up with statistics. I still don't think for written content you need anything besides Claude, but you can check your work with tools like Koala AI, Surfer AI. You can always cross-reference articles that you write in Claude with ChatGPT as an additional judge to say, hey, take a look at this article and let me know what you think. But ultimately, all of the articles that you write, if you fully write them with AI, they're going to suffer the same mistakes. So just don't do it. So if you're trying to take it one step further and to write first drafts or section by section, that's a little bit better. You've kind of gone from writing full articles to first drafts and sections, knowing that you're going to need to go in and make a lot of edits later, but still, it's not really how you want to approach it. I would say if you're using AI for briefs and outlines, this is where you get into S tier. This is where it's really good. And the quality of your brief really comes down to the quality of the prompt that creates the briefs. And I tell our team all the time at Bluetree that you really want to create the most epic long brief that you could possibly have, that literally it's like covering all the bases of the article. It can be very long, like many pages prompt to get you to the brief, and the brief itself can also be very, very long. And in the brief is basically, you go for a prompt that creates the brief and the brief that creates the article. So the brief is also like a prompt in a sense, but we go one step at a time. You want to see, it's like you're prompting the AI to give you the brief, and then the brief is like you're getting it back to the AI to get the article. So you want to use the AI to help you create the instructions for prompting the AI to write the article. So this is really how AI works really well. It's like the ultimate way to use it as an assistant. You're thinking very sort of meta about how to go about content. And this is basically what people did when we worked with humans, but now you're just taking it a step further and working with a robot. There's a couple things you can use here, a couple tools that really help streamline this process. You can use Surfer, you can use Clearscope. There's some more sort of like content engine type tools like AirOps that really help you process out this brief process. But at the end of the day, all of this stuff is sort of collapsing into Claude routines, scheduled tasks, workflows, and projects. So everything's handled there pretty well. By the way, I'm not paid by Claude. I use it all the time, and I find it the most effective tool by far. So once you've got the brief super dialed in, what you can do is use the AI to start coming up with the proper schema for the article. And one of the schema is the meta titles and descriptions. Not much to say here. Basically, you want to give it the keyword, start to get a lot of variations, pick the one or two or three that you really like the most, and tell the AI why you like it, why you dislike it, and then it can know, okay, we're going to take the one that you like, give you more variations that sort of might be good, and eventually you can get some really sort of like powerful titles and meta descriptions. And keep in mind, if a piece of content is ranking in Google, the title is sort of like the ad copy, right? It's really, really important for getting those click-through rates, even if you're not ranking first. So really, using AI to come up with really good titles and of course descriptions as well can be very powerful. Okay, so next one, using AI for keyword research. Where will this go? Well, it can, it depends on the person using the tool. I'm going to say where most SEOs use it is probably around a B, maybe an A, but the problem is that you have no sense of volume unless you're using an SEO tool like Ahrefs, Semrush, cheaper version data for SEO. These are databases of their own index of, clickstream data, and they understand what the ranking is for particular keywords on any given week or month, depending on how often they update it, and then thus what the expected volume is for those keywords. So the LLMs do not have that data, right? In fact, if Ahrefs was a public company, I would probably invest in the stock, because it's one of those things where the use of AI allows SEOs and marketers to actually query Ahrefs data way more frequently to get that valuable traffic data, right? And so I think if you're just trying to set it and forget it, AI for SEO keyword research is not great at all. It can help you come up with some ideas that you might not have considered, sort of like, Google's like people also asked or similar related keywords at the bottom of the search results. But in terms of actually getting keyword data, I would not recommend using it by itself. Also, real quick break, guys. We're putting out more and more content like this every week on AI, SEO, LLMs, how to succeed, how to stand out, how to survive in this new future. So if you want to know about how these things are colliding and where our industry is headed, please hit subscribe, please hit like, stick around for more videos, because we're excited to share what we're working on and what's working at Blue Tree for our clients every week. Cool, let's get back to the list. All right, so the next one is AI for keyword clustering. I mentioned this a little bit before. Let's put this at the top. Now, here's where AI gets real badass. If you take an export from, say, Ahrefs, Semrush, and you want to see how things are semantically related and connected in ways that you might not have considered, or just to save yourself a lot of time on the work, you can do huge exports, and you're going to get ChatGPT or Claude to basically bundle these together in semantic groups very quickly, very effectively, much, much faster than you can do it. And it's probably going to find some things that you would have overlooked and make some connections that you would have not made. So this is what AI is really perfect at, right? Doing lots of sort of grunt work. So definitely S tier. All right, now next one, let's take a look at AI for search intent classification. Where are we going to put this? Search intent classification. I'm going to put this as an A. It's close to S, and like keyword clustering, it basically allows you to understand what a user's intent is. I think this is what LLMs are great at, right? It's like, it used to be with Google, you had to kind of think like an SEO, like, I want the best 10 taco places in Austin, Texas. People don't really talk like that, right? That you just say like, hey, show me the best, like the dankest taco spotter in town, right? It's something that the AI is going to know you're using. It's going to know exactly what you want. You don't have to talk like a robotic SEO to try to get those rankings and then go scour through the top 10 links. It just knows what you want. But in terms of doing the work, it's not as much of a grunt work task that AI can offload, but it is sort of what the AI is built there. So again, you want to think about using tools like maybe Clearscope, if you've got the budget, of course, ChatGPT plus Claude, and really pasting the SERP that comes up for a particular keyword search result in Google's organic results, throwing it back into the AI tools so that it can see, hey, this is what Google's index thinks the intent is. Where might it be wrong? And where might you tell me some keywords for prompts or long tail searches that I could add to content to help me show it better for that search result? Next one, let's take a look at which we do. How about AI for topic ideation? I might say, you know what, let's do A again here. I think this is good for breaking sort of a blank page, generating angles and sort of finding the questions around a topic. It gets you basically 80% of a content map really fast, and then you can sort of bring the judgment on what's actually worth writing. So this is kind of, these are all kind of similar, of the same vein, right? You're trying to think of what keywords go together, what's the intent of the keywords, and what topics might I be missing. In addition to the LLMs, you might use something like Also Ask or Market Muse, but really, of course, AI is going to be great for coming up with topics, but it's not the best. And keep in mind, a lot of the models are trained on data that's like 30, 60, 90 days old. They're getting better now, but so sometimes if you're working in an industry where breaking topics are really important, it might not be the best use here. That's why I put it as an A rather than an S. All right, AI for SERP and competitor analysis. I'm going to say this is B. Keep in mind, the LLMs don't have, except for Google, they don't have a very robust index. So they're going to be great at looking into your competitors to see how they positioned relative to you or your clients, but they're not really going to understand really well Google's index as well as Google. Unless you're using Gemini, then this might be, I'd say, an A. But for most popular LLMs like ChatGPT and Claude, let's put it as a B. You still want to use Google, or potentially in some cases Gemini, for doing SERP analysis. But in terms of, I would say, competitor research rather than SEO competitor analysis, of course AI is pretty good, but this is more focused on like actual SEO competitor analysis. All right, how about AI for schema markup? What do you guys think? In fact, this is probably S tier. I know we've got a lot of S tier here, but AI is quite good. So there's a lot of stuff that it's really good at. AI for schema markup, I'd say Claude, my favorite here, is genuinely great at this. It's generating clean, structured data with code. And probably one of the best use cases, as everyone's figured out since November, December, is AI is amazing at code. It's now, I saw today with Fable that Stripe basically like migrated a 50 million line of code Ruby code base in one shot or something like that, right? Like something they expected to take their engineers, like 12 engineers, like 3 months. That's absolutely insane. So anything that you can do to have the AI generate rich markup and schema, the more the better, the clearer the better. This is going to help you rank both in Google as well as in the LLMs themselves as they start to have more standardized practices for your LLMs.txt file and stuff like that. So definitely use AI for schema markup. Throw your code in there, tell it what you want, and then be very clear about what you're expecting it to put out. All right, AI for internal linking. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt since this video is probably gonna be around for a while and the LMs are gonna get better. But I'd say it's not great. It's gotten a lot better. You have to be very clear as an SEO about what makes a good internal link, and that can be very difficult to do because a lot of internal links are very case specific, where there's a lot of nuance. And if you give the LLM an example, it might take that nuanced example and apply it to all internal links. So it's gotten a lot better, but again, your description, it often helps to give a lot of context to the AI, right? So that it knows what you're talking about. In this case, passing lots of context, aka examples, doesn't really work for the reasons I mentioned. But it's getting better. I've had a lot of big research reports, strategy documents where I said, hey, this is how I want you to internally link, do it as such, and it pretty much gets the links right. So it's somewhere between a B, soon to be A, eventually S, but for right now, I would say you always want to check your internal links. These internal links or external links are very important to do naturally and to do properly with good link choices, and the way you link naturally is also very important. So I'm basically putting it here because I want you guys to make sure that you're checking this yourselves. All right, AI for image alt text. This is an easy one. Everyone should be doing it. It's basically describing what's in an image. The AI, you can now drop images directly in there. Google image search, ChatGPT, Claude vision. It's going to tell you what is in the image very, very effectively. This is sort of like a computer vision. So just do it. Tell it this is for alt text, and then say, hey, describe to me what's going on in this image in 13 words, 10 to 13 words. It's going to give you great alt text. So simple as that. AI for outreach emails. This is everyone's favorite thing. Everyone's losing SEO traffic, so they're all pivoting to outreach to gain clients that aren't no longer coming inbound. So what do you guys think this is going to be? Getting better, right? There's lots of AI SDR tools. It's a C, and I will tell you why. So yeah, this is a spicy one here. AI, it's very clear. AI can draft, but the problem that you see firsthand is that editors are now getting hammered with high quality pitches all day. And the economics of spray and pray have thus broken down. If your average, third world SEO can write emails very effectively, then how do you actually stand out? Well, as the tools get better and better, the outreach emails get better and better. It's very difficult to actually punch through. You really have to be human. You have to think very differently, very creatively about how to get someone's attention and get them on the phone. People use stuff like Instantly. They use Pitchbox for some industries, Outreach.io, Smart Lead. All sorts of sequencers are very popular. Even Instantly now has their own GTM VIP service where they will set up the infrastructure and do the outreach for you. Ironically, they use an AI bot to reply to emails, which I think is a terrible idea, because if they're doing it internally, then they're doing it for all their clients and you're not standing out. A lot of SDR agencies use AI reply bots. You're just like, again, SEO mentality of like, how can I scale this up quickly is a terrible way to think about it. You want to be thinking about, how can I be very different? How can I stand out? How can I think creatively and do something that my competitors are not doing? So while the emails may sound great, if you asked me 2 years ago, an AI email written by some AI tool or AI SDR agency, that today would look like top 0.001% of emails, but everyone's using the same AI. So even if you personalize the emails, you find out that, oh my goodness, this business is using a particular tool and they have this competitor, and here's how they're ranking ChatGPT, and here's their headcount trend, and here's how their traffic is. Oh my goodness, they just raised a Series B. It doesn't matter. Everyone is doing that. Everyone's using the same data from Apollo, from Clay, from ZoomInfo, from LinkedIn. It's all the same stuff. So you really, and I hate to pour water on anyone who's doing outreach at scale, and you can flame me in the comments. Wow, it's working really well for us in this particular offer. That's great. It's not going to work in a few months. So I think outreach, trying to contact people via email, is going to be increasingly difficult. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but it means you need to be very, very clear about how you go about it in a very interesting or indirect way. If you're going direct, you better make sure that you have this sort of appropriate casualness that doesn't feel like a pitch at all. Or if you're going indirect, you're going after the account with multiple stakeholders, and you're really warming up sort of an account as opposed to individual prospect, which most people don't even think like that. So outreach is very difficult to do it right. It sounds easy now that you have AIs to do everything for you, but in fact, it is not the way to use AI. All right, on to the last two here. What should we do? Let's pick AI for programmatic SEO at scale. Wow, AI is great for this, right? You're just scaling. Wrong. This is also a C in my view. This is basically, something, again, that if you were someone who could write Python scripts, you could do coding, you could do programmatic SEO for large content websites, whether it's an e-commerce shop with thousands of products or millions of product pages and SKUs, or it's a say high volume content or news site with maybe lots of stock tickers and breaking news. This was great if you could do programmatic SEO maybe 5 to 10 years ago. Now it's not a competitive moat. So if you're trying to do it, you're entering into fields where people have been doing this effectively for SEO for quite a while. It also doesn't necessarily help you with GEO either. That remains to be seen, because GEO is a bit of a black box, but I'm just warning you guys, these things anything where it feels like AI, wow, this is this thing that's super automated. It doesn't really, you want to have the stuff that basically is very difficult to do manually on a case-by-case basis, not just like try to take a sort of spray and pray approach at big content websites and hope that programmatically you're going to be able to rank a bunch of pages. It just doesn't work. I've seen many sites tank, fail, invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into different content management systems using programmatic with AI. It has to be done really appropriate. Now, that said, programmatic SEO can still be very powerful, and of course AI can be a part of it. What I'm saying is, don't use it in the way that most people watching this video are going to be thinking about using it, which is mass creation of pages without any consideration of how this all works together as part of a cohesive content strategy. So this is sort of, as I said, this is expert only territory. You're walking into rooms. Anyone that's doing programmatic has been doing it for a long time. They're doing it very effectively. And for them, AI is an accelerant. It's helping them be more creative, more effective at what they're already good at. For someone who's like, oh, I can now do programmatic because I have AI, that's typically going to fall flat on his face. I don't want to discourage you, just saying, tread carefully. And a quick note before we close out, everything that I'm ranking here is generic by definition. It's a tier list. your site is not generic. If you want someone to actually look at your domain, your competitors, your real SERPs, and tell you exactly where AI fits into your workflow and where it's going to burn you, that's what we do at Blue Tree Digital, our agency. The link is in the description below. If you want a free AEO audit and AI SEO audit where we take a look at your actual data and what AI levers to pull and what to avoid. All right, the last one here. Let's take a look at AI for Google Search Console and data analysis. I'm going to put this one, again, this is kind of expert territory, but I'm going to put it in A, because one thing that AI is doing very effectively is it's allowing people that aren't technical to have some technical capability. In the case of programmatic, this is actually a very technically complex thing to do for large CMSs, but for data analysis with Google Search Console, things are getting very, very cool. You can now integrate your GSC data into Claude, into Supermetrics, into Funnel.io. You can connect to an MCP server like Composio, and you can just ask Claude, hey, show me what's happening. What am I missing? What keywords are declining? How are my clicks increasing for certain keywords? You can do this for Google Analytics as well, not just GSC. So you're basically, as a marketer, as an SEO, AI is allowing you to sort of be a data engineer in a sense where you're being able to work with, transform different traffic data in a way that was sort of previously the purview of someone who had a strong background in data engineering or data strategy or data science. That's not the case anymore. Again, keep in mind, AI is going to be a huge unlock for those people. But to get to, from 0 to say 1 was a step that was not possible before for most engineers. It was like a data scientist or a marketing data expert or, a marketing engineer, whatever you want to call it. But to get from 0 to 1 or 0 to 10, that's what you can do now. 10 to 100, that's sort of the final leg that already technical people can use. But to understand insights in your data that you may have been missing, now you can see those using AI. So this is really cool. It can tell you maybe, hey, you're getting lots of clicks to this page for a particular keyword, but the page isn't about that keyword. Maybe you guys create another page as a supporting page for that keyword, and stuff that you might have missed at a cursory glance just by looking through the GSC data. So I really like, probably two of the most valuable companies besides all the AI actual data center companies like the hyperscalers and NVIDIA and the chip companies and all that, that are sort of adjacent to marketing are Databricks and Snowflake and BigQuery, which is Google, of course. But a lot of marketing questions and challenges now are collapsing to sort of a database optimization problem. That's why you see Databricks basically saying every company is going to become a data and AI company. And I firmly believe that. So the better you can get with using AI for data analysis, whether it's on GSC or other types of data, strongly recommend. This could really go anywhere, depend on how strong you are and how capable you are at doing some of this work. But I'll put it up here because I think it's something that everyone should invest some time in. So that's it. We covered a lot of ground, more than I thought I was going to cover, but that's all good. What's the actual takeaway here? At the end of the day, consider AI like a junior technical hire. It's really fast, it never really gets tired, and it'll tell you it's right even when it has no clue what it's talking about. But if you point it at the grunt work and you have very clear sort of description of what's considered right and wrong in your clustering, in your briefs, in the boring data polls, it'll do about as good a job as you could have done yourself in a lot faster time. And the more you do it, the more you get better at prompting, the better it gets. Of course, if you hand it your strategy or your final draft or your relationships with editors or other humans, it's where it's going to cost you in the long term. You want to be very smart about not burning goodwill with Google or with other people by just throwing AI at problems. At the end of the day, it's the SERP and the AI citation that ultimately has the final say. And Google's gotten really good at spotting the difference between something that a person wrote or was involved in writing and something that a model just spat out. So make sure that use AI where it's valuable and keep your hands on the parts that actually move the needle. And if you want to see what the human editing layer really looks like, I took an article scoring 94% on AI detection tools and got it down to 34% with 4 passes. I broke down the whole process start to finish so you can see what AI tells to avoid and how to avoid them. I broke it down in this video right here. And if you want to see that, take a look. That's it. Thanks for watching and see you guys next week. Peace.